There are 4 levels to job search networking. If you didn't know that, you're probably in the bottom levels, which are not good. And we're going to get you into the top 10% at the very least. Now, if you're watching this video, chances are you are in either the 70% or the 20% of job seekers. Nobody in the top 9% or the 1% are watching this because they're too busy getting offers. They don't need to watch this video. They already know the stuff I'm going to show you in this video. So let's begin. Right. Okay. Level 1, the beggar. 70% of job seekers. There's a very high chance this is you when you job search. You send messages like, here's my CV. Hey, are there any jobs? It sounds as bad as this dog looking for a treat. Like literally, you're sending a message saying, hey, can I please get a job? You're begging. Does not work. That's not what we want to do. You may as well send a message like this. Hey, I know you don't know me and I've just randomly messaged you, but can you put your neck on the line and put me forward to someone who will maybe give me a job in your company? If I fail, you look really bad, but trust me, bro, I've got this. This is a begging message. You're begging for a referral. You're begging to get your CV read. You're begging for a hiring manager to take you seriously. Will you give me a job on the first date? Imagine going on the first date and asking for marriage. Kind of weird. So sending a message saying, hey, any jobs? Can I get a job? Here's my CV. That's as bad as it looks. It's kind of cringy. Don't do it. Level 2. There's a very good chance you're in this level, by the way. And we want to move you from this level. It's not bad, but it doesn't work because you're watching this video because you know it doesn't work. So you're the polite networker. This is 20% of job seekers. Hey, I'd love to connect and learn more about your role. This is good for an ad note, not good for an in-mail, and not good for an email. It's okay to get a connection sending this message, but the challenges are as follows. You're probably looking like this guy. You're a penguin on the surface of an iceberg. You're scratching the surface. You're getting like the surface level stuff, not really enough to kind of dig deep, and it doesn't actually get you results. This is what you look like when you get a reply. Someone accepts, they reply, and then they say, yeah, how can I help? What do you want? And then you don't know what to reply. You start to sweat. You start to get concerned. Should I send my CV? Should I send my resume? Should I ask another question? Hey, I know I'm going to ask if there's a job. And then you turn into level before that, which is begging, and then you lose, and then you get ghosted, and then you think, hey, it's impossible getting a job. Networking doesn't work. But you just don't know how. So that's not what the problem is. The problem is you don't know how to do that. This is who you want to be. You want to be the strategic operator. You're like a Navy SEAL on steroids playing chess. Like, you know what you're doing. Top 9% of job seekers. This is where you want to start getting into. And this video is going to inspire you to do that. Now, what is the difference between these guys that are getting opportunities and you're in the previous bracket? They're sending messages like, I've been speaking to a few people in your team. Now, if you haven't been speaking to a few people in the company you want to work in, you can't send this message, and you are not a strategic operator. You are not a Navy SEAL Special Forces chess player on steroids getting offers. You want to be this person. How does this happen? Let me show you. Imagine speaking to these types of people. So you've got someone who influences hiring decisions. You've got someone who's a random cross-functional stakeholder, someone who's doing the job, and also someone who's a decision maker. You're having active conversations with these people. You're figuring out what the projects are, what the company culture is like, what are the soft skills, what's really happening in the company. Now, if you're not confident enough to have these conversations and ask these questions, you're not going to be the previous job seeker, right? You want to have these conversations. I want you to imagine that you ask the company culture question and you get an answer. Hey, we're innovative. We're hierarchical. We're looking for people who want to be in a meritocratic type of company culture. We're looking for leaders. We're looking for people who can take accountability, who are not scared of AI. And you have all these different points. And then you reach out to a real decision maker and you say, hey, I understand the company culture. I understand this. I understand that. I would love to get a meeting with you. Now, if you get meetings, you are going to get calls or you're going to get recommended. Okay. So meetings will get to the stage of you being able to get seriously considered for some of these roles. And this is where you want to start being. If you want to have a real chance, you want to start having calls and booked recommendations from real decision makers. Okay. Why is this not happening to me? Because you're not doing it. You're probably looking at TikToks, Instagram, you're finding stuff online with different points of what people tell you. No, don't do this, don't say that, say this, sound like a robot. You're not critically thinking about what type of company culture you're looking for. The more specificity you have in your job search, the more you know what you want to do, the more likely you can have some real intelligent questions with real decision makers that can actually answer these questions. And then you can use the intel you gather to find out who the hiring decision maker is. It's not always going to be a recruiter. It's not always going to be a hiring manager. It could be the head of HR. It could be the HR business partner. If you're a data analyst, it could be a senior data analyst making that decision. But because you haven't picked up the content, you haven't spoken to people, you haven't networked properly, you don't know. So level 4, this is where you really want to be. I turn people like you into people like this. The 1% of job seekers, the offer engineer. I am the solution. Okay. You want to be the solution straight off the bat. You want to be able to deal with people depending on what they say. You just know what to say. You know how to handle objections. You know the company culture. You know what type of company you're looking for. You know exactly how you fit in the team. You know where you're going. Nothing can throw you off course. You are genuinely getting offers thrown at you. People are inviting you to apply. People are recommending you. People you don't know recommend you to other people you don't know. They're having conversations about you because you've connected to another person, asked a really intelligent question, and you understand the culture. Okay. And you're just putting yourself out there. Your LinkedIn is on point and you're just getting stuff done. So imagine you have the confidence to do something like this. You reach out to someone, they push you back, and that's completely normal. You're going to see stuff like, we're not hiring right now, but you're going to have the confidence to say, look, when you do start hiring, what is it that you look for? Then a conversation ensues. They answer your question. Well, we look for this soft skill, this company culture. And then you say, fantastic, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's something I possess. That's ability that I have. Let's do a call. They say, yes, you have a call. Then you show yourself, you sell yourself, you ask better questions, then you ask closing questions. Hey, judging by how I presented myself, do you feel that I would be a good fit for the team? They say, yes, fantastic. Who do you recommend that I reach out to? Who the decision maker is? They give you a name, okay? So things start to get a little bit more interesting. They tell you, please apply online. And everybody else in the 99% are kind of applying and saying, okay, but you're going to say something like this. I can confirm I have applied. While I still have your attention, what is the key metric of success at your firm? What is the key metric of success that you guys look for with successful job seekers? They're going to give you some content. Well, we look for people who can take accountability, who have adaptability. They're not scared of AI. And then you're able to say, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's describing me. I would love to see if my profile is going to be a good fit for the existing team. Are you free for a phone call tomorrow, or do you prefer Monday? They say Monday. You get a meeting. You ask better questions. You might even say something like, look, judging by how I presented myself and the skills that you look for, do you feel that I possess them? They say, yes, fantastic. Who do you recommend that I reach out to? And then before you know it, you're going to have a combination. You're going to know the company culture, the soft skills, the work style, the personality traits. You're just going to know everything. You're going to be the person that this company is looking for. It's a no-brainer. You're like engineering offers out of thin air. You know when companies are hiring. When they're not hiring, you know when they will because you ask the right questions. You know, internal positions, there's hidden jobs. People think about hiring you before they even, reach out to you. Then they invite you and then you get put forward. Okay, so this is where you want to be. Hiring managers know you. You get a meeting with real hiring managers, real decision makers. And then you can say something like, look, can you help me make a formal application that results in an interview? Now, that results in an interview. That last part, that's a call to action. That's you closing the deal. Many of you are not asking direct questions, and this is going to change the game. If you want to become the 1% job offer engineer and you want to get offers thrown at you left, right, and center, connect to me. I'm going to leave my LinkedIn in the description, and let's jump on a call. See you on the next one.